Okay. All right. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day, and you have chose to spend a part of it watching the Unks in the building. UNCS Unks in the building. It's your resident Unk, Byron, here, along with my fantastic wife, Auntie Stacy.
Hello.
Today we will once again be talking through some Reddit stories. I think.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Reddit stories. Okay.
Yes. Right. And this one, the theme is more like advice needed. Like these people are in some kind of relationships, and need some kind of advice. And so we're going to give them. Okay? This one is actually from Am I the A-hole? But it is advice needed.
Oh, we love those.
Am I the a-hole for breaking up and treating him like a stranger after he falsely promised marriage as a condition for living together?
Oh, we've seen this situation too many times.
Right.
We've seen it. I'm old school. If you're going to get married, but don't live the marriage before you get married, because you probably won't end up getting married.
All right.
Anyway, go ahead.
So my female 32, her boyfriend, who's Alan, male 34. And
she's 32.
He's 34.
And she's 32. Okay, go ahead.
Have been together for 5 years. Mm-hmm. We've talked about marriage since year 2. We put all our cards on the table, including deal breakers and expectations. We agreed to move in together on the condition of getting engaged.
3 years since you talked about marriage. 3 years. Okay, go ahead.
He told me that he would propose before the end of the year. My family was dead set against it. They said moving together without a ring on it was risky. I paid no ring. I paid no attention and went ahead. Maybe that's what she meant. Mm-hmm. It's been over 2 years. No engagement. There's been no proposal and there's no ring.
So I thought he got engaged, but they just ain't married. You know, people had them forever engagements, but he ain't even popped the question. He just got them.
She just
splitting the bills. Okay, go ahead.
In the meantime, I've kept my word to be there for him as a partner. He lost his job and I took on some extra work to cover all our bills. Lord. He found a new job and I coached him through problems with his new boss. Mm-hmm. His family has a history of conflicts and are constantly creating bad situations for themselves. And I've done my best to help him solve their crap without being too judgmental, because at the end of the day, it affects him.
And you finna marry this permanently?
I've asked him about our engagement so many times that I feel like I'm begging. He has been vague and has asked to leave our conversation for another day because he's tired and wedding plans would be exhausting.
Lord.
I've been direct and asked if he changed his mind. I need to know because he repeatedly said otherwise before renting a place, and I need to know where I stand.
Good questions.
I'm not presumptuous. I don't need a flashy, expensive ring. I just need to know that he met his promise. We tried this conversation again, and he took it lightly. I tried again days later, and he looked annoyed when I'm just asking for a clear answer. He has postponed the proposal without a clear reason. What bothers me is that he was more open to it back when he felt vulnerable.
Oh, I think he does have a clear reason. He don't want to do this.
I don't want to be with a man who will only mention marriage out of survival, and I told him. I asked him a few weeks ago because I can't deal with monosyllables, changing the subject, and the general limbo. He snapped at me and said that a relationship is much more than a wedding and that I'm pressuring him. I swallowed my pride and reminded him that I loved him and that spending the rest of our lives together was all I wanted. He softened up and said to please understand that he loves me. But pressing the issue was hurting our relationship. I asked if that was a no, and he said he never said that. I feel like a second-class person in his life, and I don't know how he can love me and ruin my trust. I found out that he won't buy me a ring, but he put $1,500 towards his younger brother's 30th birthday celebration. And while I'm covering a bit over 60% of our expenses, I confronted him directly, and he looked like he didn't know what to say.
Because he didn't.
I ended up crying because he's changed so much that his efforts to help me celebrate my birthdays have gone a bit half-assed.
Oh my gosh.
He's given out money like he can't afford to spend, but I had to buy my own Sara Lee cake while trying not to. That's box cake, people. If you don't know.
Yeah.
While trying not to make him self-conscious about spending. I tried to move out after feeling crushed and being convinced that he lied to me. I decided to move out after feeling crushed and being convinced that he lied to me.
Smart.
Our lease ends on May 30th, and I told him that I'm leaving.
Yeah.
He asked me many times if I'm 100% sure that this is what I want, and I said I have no choice because he walked all over my dignity. I'm sleeping on the sofa because seeing him hurts a lot. He's tried to talk, but I'm afraid this will turn into another 2 years of me pouring myself into his needs, and he will just keep stringing me along.
Lord Jesus.
He asked if we could at least talk to the landlord and see if we could get a 3-month extension period, but I declined. He freaked out.
Extension for what?
He freaked out because his joint custody agreement included that he needs a place of his own because his ex hates his family and refused to allow their kids to spend extended periods with the mother-in-law. I said I'm sorry, but he just needs to get moving and find his own solution. I'm leaving on Monday so I can stay with a friend. I don't care if I still have to pay for my remaining portion of the rent. I don't want to see him. He came to the living room because he wanted to talk to me, to if I would be comfortable moving on to someone else. I refused to answer and that I've been short with him because there's no way that I can forgive him. To be fair, he does look drenched, I guess broken she means, and emotionally disturbed by my decision. I've already blocked his entire family, and when he found out, I said I no longer have any obligation towards anyone on his side. He asked to talk about our relationship, and I asked not to interact because it makes me want to cry. Last night, he went to sleep on the futon next to me where I'm sleeping and said he just wants to stay close because he will be crushed once I'm gone. I asked him please to go to the bedroom. I'll just be forced to stay in a hotel. He says he understands my point of view, but I'm treating him like crap. Am I the a-hole?
No. You know what? Yes, you are.
Why?
You are the a-hole. But you're the a-hole to yourself.
Okay.
You're the a-hole to yourself. You need to be nicer to you. Set that boundary, hold that boundary. I thought this story was going to end with him coming around and trying to propose again, and then you kind of being like, no. But the thing is, if you accept his proposal at this point.
This is coerced to me.
It
would feel like that from my end.
Yeah, that's very true. But what I'm more concerned about is this is going to turn into a 10-year engagement because he don't want to marry you.
Right. But he wants her because she solves a lot of the things in his life. Like she helps when he's down.
She is a crutch.
She's it though. Why wouldn't he just marry her? She does everything. He just don't love her though. Ugh, that's.
You don't love somebody, you don't like somebody, but this person is too valuable to your life to leave them alone.
Right, because he has to have somebody to split the rent with so he can stay somewhere.
You got a roommate. You got somebody handling half the bills.
60% of the bills.
Over half the bills. You got somebody holding you down when you have no job.
And helping you out to find the job and to find, I don't know if she said
Let me tell you something, man. Yeah. First of all, I got a couple points. First of all, first point is there was a movie that I'm going to quote, a song. It's on The Color Purple. A God is trying to tell you something.
Right.
When you say the whole family got issues, creating issues for themselves, you don't walk into that.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
You don't, because you're going to be with that family for the duration of your days.
When you marry someone, you marry their family.
Yeah. And the second thing.
That's just what it is.
The second thing, the moment you moved in with this man, I would possibly understand if y'all got engaged and then
Yeah, that makes sense.
moved. That made a little
sense.
more sense. But you
know
didn't
what
even have the
you know what
engagement.
you're moving towards. You know what I mean?
This man didn't even give her the engagement. When he started being dodgy about that, it's time to start
But then I
plotting that
understood
escape plan.
when I read it, she was like, we moved in together, and then he lost his job. So when a guy loses his job, he's not thinking about
This is very true.
marriage and trying to build yourself. Like a lot of men lose themselves after they lose their job because they think I can't provide. Now you're feeling emasculated because she's paying for things,
Right.
So that could have turned him off a little bit.
Yeah, so
But a girl that's holding it down shouldn't hold, unless you have issues with your own self. That should be like,
this is it. But here's the problem.
Know she's not here for that.
Here's the problem. The problem is, it's not just that he lost his job and she's holding him down until he got a new one. This man got the new one. See, I understand that somebody who is currently married to you and went through that whole thought process of, I need to make sure my money is good, all this whole thought process. There's a point where if you wait for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. There's no perfect time. So sometimes you just got to make a decision and have faith and move forward. Right. Plan, of course, but you know, this particular individual is not doing that because he's tricking off on his own brother. But you buying Sara Lee cakes for yourself. And that's something that's like, you have evidence that this person...
Because he could have bought a Sara Lee cake, baked it, and that would have been cute. If you don't have the funds, he could have gone...
There's ways to do stuff.
She sounds really, really ready to work with whatever you got.
Whatever he got going on.
She's like, okay, so even if she's like, all right, I got to get a Sara Lee to keep the budget low.
Right.
Why couldn't he buy the Sara Lee cake?
$1,500 on the brother though?
Right, but she didn't even know he had that to give because she's spending 60% of her money on the bills. She's paying 60% of the bills. But even if at the time when it was her birthday and he didn't have the money, you can cute things up.
Yeah, you
with
can.
A budget. Buy the Sara Lee cake. Make cupcakes if you have to. Make a cake. Get the icing. The icing at the dollar store, bro. Like you can go and get those cute candles and stuff, and have a picnic indoors. And that's super cute. And a girl who loves you will be happy with that. If she knows that you don't got it.
He don't like you.
That's sad.
He don't like you.
It sounds like our daughter. That's sad.
He don't like you. And that's unfortunate that you've given up, because 5 years is a long time to play with somebody.
It really is. And
5 years is a long time to play with somebody.
What makes him an ultimate a-hole.
This is the second point. I said I had a couple points.
2 points, yeah.
I said a couple points. When a man goes shopping, I'm sure other men out there can attest, we kind of know what we want before we go into the store. For the most time. We don't typically go into a shoe store unless we're really trying to kill time and peruse. Just walk around looking at stuff. We don't just walk around looking at stuff. I don't know what I want to buy today. I just know I want a pair of shoes. Okay. We don't typically shop like that.
That's okay.
Right?
Right.
Typically. I ain't speak for all men, but typically, man, we done went on the internet. We know what pair of shoes, tennis shoes, whatever coming out. We're gonna go to the store. We ask for our size. Even if that, we almost forced to buy the stuff on the internet. You got to just buy it online and have it shipped to you. But
we know how you feel about that.
I'm not going there. That's ridiculous that it's that way. But still.
Yeah.
No, but this is, I mean, unless we doing something like, okay, I'm gonna go buy some hard bottoms,
Right. That's
a slightly different story. But when you want a pair of shoes, you go in there, and even then, it's like, I want a black pair, no buckle, don't want no penny loafers.
Air Force Ones.
You know what I'm saying? No, I was talking about hard bottoms, silly. Black pair of Air Force Ones. Yeah. No, but you have a kind of look you got on one of your head. 1 or 2 pairs, I make a decision and I'm leaving. We do not pick up a pair of shoes, get that shoe in our hand, walk around with the shoe in our hand, looking to see if there's a better deal after we paid for this pair of shoes.
Right.
Still going into 6 other stores, seeing if, and as somebody who's shopped with women in my past, mother, sister, you know, that's how it goes down. I found a dress. Let me see what else they got.
Right. That's what women
The women do that.
But men.
So I always say we don't compartmentalize who we are. How we are is typically how we are everywhere.
Right.
So when you go shopping, quote unquote, and not to make women objects, but I'm just saying, when you go hunting for a spouse, you know what it is you want within a range. Okay, you know, you might be, some people willing to accept, okay, well, I don't care if she's skinny or she's fat, but she got to have a cute face. I don't care if she's tall or she's short, but she got to have this. You don't have your little wiggle room for what you may like, but there's a particular range of attractiveness that you know what you're willing to accept. Once you get it, if you want it, that's it. The only reason you keep shopping as a man is if you're not satisfied.
That ain't it.
That ain't it.
I mean, not to say that is a woman, but that's the vibe.
That's not it. That's this situation.
Yeah.
Is not it. And that's the thing, is like every time I've only seen one situation, and then, again, I don't know everybody in the whole world, but I've only seen one situation that went off and on for a decade plus. They got married and stayed married for a very long time.
Right.
I've only seen one.
I mean,
most times, they either end up forever boyfriend, girlfriend, or it just, as soon as they get married, they done.
It ends.
That's what I've seen. I can't speak for everybody, but that's what I've seen. It's like, this situation is tough, and it hurts I could understand how hurt she is. It's just like, I don't want to leave.
Well, it's also because she feels like she did it. She feels like she did it the right way because they talked about it.
Right.
And she said, these are the parameters within which I'm moving in with you.
Right.
That we must get engaged. And he's like, of course. So now she feels betrayed and cheated.
She didn't even say married. She was like,
engaged.
Bruh.
Right? I think it was.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying she didn't even say married.
No, it's married. Am I the a-hole for breaking up and treating him like a stranger after he falsely promised marriage as a condition for living together?
I know, but I'm saying he hadn't even asked at that time.
No. They talked about we were going to get engaged. In year 2, they started talking about marriage. So she expected, okay, let's move in together. And I think it's because he used her because he needed a place. Because the mother-in-law situation where his kid can't stay there.
Absolutely.
So it was like, okay, we need to move. Yes, of course, we're going to get married. Let's just move in together.
Mm-hmm.
And
you used me for an address. That is
as
crazy.
a woman who's been through I feel like I'm giving everything. And if you could just see me and see how good I am and how much I could improve your life, then you could just love me, you know? But it's like,
if they can't
the
see
person
it,
just
then
doesn't love you, they don't love you. You just got to let it go, because the person that does, it can't even compare to what you won't have to go through, that proving of yourself and turning yourself inside out, trying for this person to see you and to value you. You have to value yourself enough to be like, you're not keeping your word.
Tapping out.
I gotta go. So she just wasted 5 years. And I mean,
but really, I won't say 5 though. She wasted 3.
She wasted 5.
Because the first 2 years, they were still good enough to get to the point of talking about marriage.
But he knew what he was doing.
Oh, well, that's true.
So it's a waste. Obviously, it's not a waste, because we've all been through this where you learn, you realize what you're worth. Hopefully, you realize what you're worth. You move on and you know better. You grow and you learn better. You don't do it again. And you know what you're not going to stand for. And you're quicker with it. So someone comes to you and they come with that bull, you realize,
this ain't it.
You're not wasting another 5. So you might waste 5 months, but it ain't going to be 5 years. So I see what she was doing. She's like, listen. And the thing is, she's trying to be straightforward. Like, listen, what's happening, and he's like, I'm tired, da, 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 like all these things, and you're trying to chase the person you thought you met 5 years ago, or at least 3 years ago, who was gung-ho and down. So you're thinking, so because she said he changed, and in my mind, he didn't change. He was just
His
using you the whole
representative
time.
changed.
Yeah.
Like, he stopped being able to uphold.
Got comfortable.
Yeah, he stopped being able to uphold a representative he had created. There's a phrase for that. I forgot what it's called though. Maybe it'll come to me. But when people, they show you one side and then the real side of them comes out later, and then
I know Maya Angelou said,
you start
people show you who you are, believe them.
But the thing is, like, you're in this perpetual state of, if I can just get them back to where they were. If I can just get them back to where.
Well, that's a part of a whole narcissist thing where you're trying to go back
some
to
type of bipolar situation though. It's
It's
two
not
sides
bipolar.
of no. I'm talking about the phrase I'm thinking about.
Oh, okay.
It's two sides of this individual.
like polar opposites.
Yeah, it's two sides of this individual that they flip flop back and forth between in order to control the situation. So it's like, I'm gonna pretend to be this person that's just like love bombing you, and I'm gonna just be up under you all this long time,
Which
and
is what he
I
came
get
and
what
did
I
again.
want.
When
And
he
then-
came and the thing that was so annoying to me in this story, when he came and laid next to her in the futon.
I gotta have you close to me.
I gotta have you close to me because I know I'm gonna be destroyed when you leave.
The thing
And now
about
she's
that,
thinking, now she's second guessing, like she's saying, I can't, I gotta go because it's too hard looking at him.
right.
Not because she realizes who he is and how disgusting, she kind of does, but now she's asking, am I the a-hole?
Right.
Which makes you know that there's some doubt setting in, the exact thing that he does.
He's a
So
manipulator.
she's attracted to when he gets vulnerable. So now it's like, oh, you do see some worth in me. But no, that's just a ploy for you to reel you back in.
Yeah.
So that you can come and be this pillar of strength for him.
And
where he gets to go back to being his old self.
he's a master manipulator, and that's something you run from. You absolutely run from that situation because this is not going to stop. Mm-hmm. And
Yep.
if you see a pattern where the family has a bunch of messed up stuff
that
going
also
on,
is-
you walking into it is
Yeah.
one thing to be blindsided and don't know. It's another thing to walk into this situation and you already seeing signs of it with the person that you go. It's one. So if it would be different if the family was crazy and this person you was dealing with seemed to be grounded.
Right.
Well, you can
And that
kinda
person
like-
also knows, like, my mom, she's...
Yeah.
I'm not going to stand for
Yeah.
that. It's me and you. Let's move forward.
But
I'm not gonna
to
stand for the
be
stuff my mom
going
does or her
into it
sister or
and
whatever.
this man is doing the same stuff his family's doing,
Mm-hmm.
and he coming with baggage talking about a kid and a custody battle. Like, ma'am, you do not want to go into this situation. That's a long. He have a permanent commitment to this kid. Hopefully, if he's anything worth his salt, he got a commitment to this kid, and then he's trying to go back and forth, baby mama. Bro, don't do that.
Well, it depends. The baby mama might be a non-issue.
No,
It doesn't sound like the baby mama is an issue. It sounds like he's the issue. And
I
it's
know,
family.
but what I'm saying is, like, he got a lot going on
He does.
that she's trying to walk into, and it's like it doesn't make sense for him to walk into that situation. You know what I'm saying?
I get
It
it.
don't make sense.
Okay, top comment. Of course he feels like crap. That's what happens when things stop going your way.
Right.
The plan is a good one and you will gain perspective once you get some space.
Please do.
Someone responds, exactly this. He literally said to stop trying to talk about what's bothering you because it's hurting the relationship. But now that he's losing everything, suddenly can we talk about the relationship? OP, all the evidence is in. He cares about what you want as long as that's what he wants. If you try to work things out with this man, you're settling for someone who does not prioritize you or what you want out of life. Update me. And the person says, and that pathetic, please let me sleep next to you on the floor by the sofa because I'm going to miss you so much when you're gone, like a sad puppy dog. The throw up emoji. And it's honestly chef's kiss how quickly this dude went from controlling the situation and refusing to engage with her on the level of literally begging her to just talk to him. You can just tell he's one of those dudes who has this whole internal narrative about how lucky she is to be with him while she literally gives a parasitic sponge-like existence where he can't even maintain a roof over his own head without her. It's sad.
Yeah.
Okay. That's that story. So move on, OP. You made the right decision.
Move on.
Next story. Should I leave my girlfriend? We just moved in together.
Oh my gosh. What is it with these people
This is from
moving
the
in with these
subreddit,
girlfriends?
Make my choice.
Don't
I've been
do it.
dating my
Reconsider.
girlfriend for a year. And we've had a few emotionally intense fights that are making me question our future together. I care about her a lot, but I'm starting to feel like no matter what I do, she doesn't believe she's a priority in my life, and it's draining. The most recent fight happened after we took a round-trip train journey. On the way back, she later told me she felt unsafe and accused me of caring more about not wasting the return tickets than about her safety. The problem is she didn't express any of this at that time. I had no idea she was feeling unsafe. When she brought it up later, she stormed off and said I put her safety at risk just to save money. That hit hard because if I had known how she felt, I would have dropped the plan in a second. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. In another fight, we were moving things between places, and I used trash bags for some of her stuff. Mostly soft items like clothes because it was the most convenient way to transport them. She was furious and said it felt like I was treating her things like garbage.
Oh my gosh.
I never meant anything symbolic by it. It was just practical. But to her, it meant I didn't respect her belongings. That turned into another massive argument where I felt misjudged. A common thread in all of this is that she constantly compares herself to my sisters. She tells me I would not put the clothes in the trash bags if they were my sisters, or I wouldn't put their safety at risk. I am close to my sisters, but I've never made a choice that put them above her. My sisters live 5,000 miles away, and we've never stayed together in person with my sister and her. She's only seen me speak over the phone. Still, it feels like she's always on the lookout for proof that she's not number one in my life, and that assumption clouds everything. The pattern is this. She feels hurt or unsafe, doesn't say anything in the moment, and then later accuses me of not caring or not protecting her. I'm left trying to defend my character instead of being seen for who I actually am. I've tried talking things through, reassuring her, validating how she feels, but it feels like none of that matters when she's already made up her mind about me. I'm exhausted. I'm not perfect, but I try to be emotionally available, thoughtful, and caring. I want a relationship where I'm trusted and where disagreements are solved together, not by being blindsided with accusations after the fact. She always comes back apologizing, but this has become a cycle now. She wants me to meet her family and get married while all of this is happening. Is this the end? There are edits. Do you want me to read the edits? Okay. A lot of you have asked further questions, some more context. We've had similar fights back when we started dating. She would be insecure of all my previous girlfriends and had me block all of them. I did see signs of insecurity, attachment issues due to her being the only child, and something that scared her was her parents leaving her and going to work. She's 28 and I'm 29. We both tried therapy on our own, but I think it takes a back seat when things are going well. She told me she can't leave me. Even times when I brought up my concerns on her behavior, she promises to work on herself, and then we're again in this cycle. Today, we had a conversation about all the options. She doesn't want to leave. She wants us to do couples counseling. I still don't know what to do.
Marriage should be forever. Mm-hmm. People are going to have issues. Nobody is perfect. Mm-hmm. Nobody's perfect. Walking into a situation where somebody seems unbalanced is scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And this individual,
Yeah.
like the first situation with the other guy was some narcissism, some toxic
You
behavior.
can see how the love bombing starts at the beginning and how he was great and everything was great before they moved in. That happens.
Yeah, she's that situation seemed more like classic narcissistic manipulation.
Right.
This situation seems like something actually might be wrong with her. And I'm saying this from a standpoint of like something is broken with the abandonment issues. And that's some stuff that needs some serious healing.
Yeah. Like her parents going to work.
When she's comparing the sister situation, just picking fights and trying to just start. Why are we having so many issues in what should be effectively the honeymoon period? Boyfriend, girlfriend time, you don't have nothing together. They moved in together and they made that's a mistake in my book. I don't care what nobody say. Because when you just know. But if you're going to do that, there should be a moment where it's like, look, don't do that, bro. This the first mistake. Don't move in with somebody before you are all the way in, because you are signing up for some foolishness, and it's hard to get rid of this person now. And if you're going to marry him. But if you're not going to marry him, don't marry him. If you having these type of problems inside of your head, you don't want the counseling and it's not helping, it is time to go.
Here's what it is. They've only been dating for a year.
That's too quick.
It's not many years. So the first thing is he's living on eggshells.
Already, bro.
Because he doesn't. You know how intense that has to be for you to not know. You think everything's cool, and then the person comes home and they're like, that was messed up. You're like, what? And that
you don't even know what set them off.
I felt unsafe. What are you talking about? And then you just want to cause a scene every few minutes, every few months or whatever it is.
Y'all ain't even been together but a year.
But about things that are not issues. He doesn't. How am I going to feel safe and enjoy the moment when I'm always thinking she looks happy right now? I can't trust you. And this is not about infidelity, but trust doesn't just encompass
bruh,
infidelity.
It's not just sex.
You cannot be trusted. You look happy in the moment, and then later on you want to tell me how pissed you were, and then I have to pay for it with intense fights and stuff.
You don't want to go through that.
I'm out.
Bruh.
Nope.
First 6 months to a year, we might have some small issues, but we ain't got nothing to really argue
it's
about.
It's a learning of each other, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it's supposed
why
to be
we
super
fussing?
cute, and then okay. If we move in, here's the Trinidadian coming up. If we move in, right?
Moving in.
Wait, if we move in, why is stuff not packed, friend? He has to put your stuff in a bag because your stuff wasn't packed. Now, if he took your stuff that was packed and he put it in a bag and he messed up your stuff because you had it organized a certain way, I understand. But guess what? You didn't pack your stuff, so it's going in a bag. He's just trying to be efficient. You want to be mad at him for being a problem solver where you didn't solve your own problem?
Come on.
Get out of here.
Come on.
You got to go.
Yeah,
because you're causing problems where there are no problems. You're trying to move stuff from here to there. You didn't pack the stuff, so he's finding a way. We need to do it now. I'm gonna put it in these bags and get it to the place where it needs to be.
Tell me y'all got kids together. Tell me y'all done invested in 3 properties and y'all name on multiple leases together. Tell me.
No, this man said a common thread in all of this is that she constantly compares herself to my sisters. So that's a thing that's been happening. Okay?
That's crazy, bro.
She's never met the sisters. The sisters live 5,000 miles away. She's never met them.
But that level of insecurity,
never been in the same room with them.
You can't fix that.
She's always on the lookout for proof that she's not number one in my life. And that assumption clouds everything. We got to go. This isn't working. I'm not the one for you. Because no matter what I do, there's something broken in your world that you can't see me for what I'm doing. So unless you fix those broken glasses, I'm always going to pair a certain way to you. So he's out there trying to live his life, trying to be a good boyfriend, trying to be a good person. And she's just like, no, let me break you down. She needs help. And then she's like, we get therapy, and then it falls away when things are going well. How long is things going well?
That's the thing I can't wrap my head around, bruh. It's only been a year. Yeah. Why are you going to therapy over your girlfriend you ain't been with but a year? I am leaving.
What made the person might make you feel like you need it because you're so
let me tell you
insensitive.
something. Somebody I was talking to set my blood pressure up.
Right.
My head started hurting.
Right.
It was 3 weeks. I'm out. Oh, you didn't know I was done, but I'm done.
Right.
Like, stop it. Why are people sitting back here dealing with some foolishness to the point where I'm not going to therapy over you and we ain't married.
But
no.
It's not over you. There are people, trust me, there are people who can convince you that you are broken.
No, I get it.
And you make me feel this way. So you need to get help. I'm going to get my therapy, but you need to take responsibility for the part that you played in making me feel unsafe.
Right.
And he's like, what are you talking about?
Here's the thing.
He's like, and the fact that you don't realize that you're doing it is a problem. So go get some help. And everybody needs therapy. So the therapist is not going to say, don't come here.
How old are they?
28 and 29.
So here's the thing. I doubt this is this man's first girlfriend.
I know.
But this is the problem. If it's something new and nobody's told you this before, this is not the first honest person you've met. You're not going to tell me I'm crazy at 29 years old and have me going to therapy for something where I'm like, yo, this feels off.
There are people who
and she's I know, but I'm telling you, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Well, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, but you're 40 something now, Byron.
Unc's in the building. The Unc is in the building. So listen.
There's certain things in your 20s that you stood for.
29?
No.
He's almost 30.
Byron, ain't no way you would do some things in your 20s and 30s that now you're in your 40s, you're like, absolutely not.
I'm not going.
Absolutely not. That's your mantra for a lot of things now.
It is.
Because
it is.
You've been through life and you know what things are worth. You know what your peace is worth. Your peace. I don't know what it is about 40s where peace becomes a major priority, where you're like, I'm not doing that. Honestly, I'd rather be alone. I'd rather have no friends if that's the case. There are things that you will not deal with. At 28, you might entertain it. At 29, you might.
I'm not going to couples counseling with you. We not talking about marriage counseling.
I know.
We talking about couples counseling. She said that's where she wants to go.
Right. But she's talking about marriage now, which is wild.
I'm not marrying you. I'm not going to couples counseling with you. I'm not going to therapy sessions over you, because the moment that I feel like you're causing me this level of problem in our first year, I could see it. So the previous situation where the guy and the young lady was together 5 years, and he starts messing with her and all this stuff, and I could see that going to be like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should go get therapy because I'm second guessing myself. This guy really had a tough moment. You know, she's feeling some type of way. She's invested all this time. I get her going to therapy over this, being like, hey, we were at the point of talking about marriage. This was supposed to happen. Something shifted. I don't know. Let me triple check it's not me why this person is not talking about marriage anymore and acting like it annoys them. Right. And then once I get myself to the point of realizing that's not my thing, it's not my issue, now it's time to move on, which I'm so happy she did. This guy, 1 year, problems already every so often,
talking about
sir.
A constant theme. That means it's
happening over and over again. and then you moved in. Let me tell you what this is, man. This is what happens when we'll just say it this way. Everybody can't be celibate.
Yeah.
Everybody can't be celibate. But this was some magical box.
That's what I thought. I thought this girl must
This
be
was
so
some magical
freaking
box.
hot.
Hot or
must be
not,
sexy
this
as hell.
has to be some magical box. There's no way. That's the so you know what I believe. There's a logic to everything, and I even believe in the logic of love. Meaning sometimes you're gonna do some stupid stuff in the name of love,
Right.
but it still makes sense because I just love them so much.
Right.
The first story was the logic of love.
Right.
I love this person. We're talking about marriage. This don't make sense. I'm breaking my boundary, and I'm moving in with this person, but I love them so much and I believe they love. So you're basing all of your decisions off that.
Right.
This is the logic of box. Magical box. That's what this is. He had something.
But sometimes guys also like a little crazy.
That crazy stuff gets you messed up.
Okay, but don't deny that crazy stuff be sexy to some men. And then it turns on you, and then you're got a headache. But then you might get the box, like you say, and then it kind of makes up for it. But that crazy stuff, y'all be liking that crazy stuff. I like a little crazy. Y'all like that.
I told one of my uncles this.
Mm-hmm.
I told one of my uncles this. I don't know if I tell you that story. He rest in peace, brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, y'all like that crazy stuff. Now I'm talking these men 20, 30 years my senior.
How old are you then? Like 19?
No.
Oh. How old are
I might have been
you? In your 20s?
no.
How old are you?
I had to be this had to be late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
When this happened. So that means they would have been
So you had already been through your
I've been
crazy
through some
stuff.
crazy situation by
Okay.
then. But I told him, I said, see, I had to learn not to like that crazy stuff. I said, y'all
Right.
still like it.
Right.
Y'all still like that
But
crazy
you
stuff.
had that phase.
But he
Wait a minute.
but he
Wait a minute.
they
You're
still was
judging
going.
the man. You're judging the man in this story for liking the crazy.
Hey,
But you've been there. And you like the crazy.
There was some previous podcasts we did on here when I talked about this word comes up again, compartmentalizing. Mm-hmm. And I said, Lord, I thank you for delivering me from hood rats. The point I was making is I had at one point in time thought it was funny. Ratchet behavior was hilarious to me. But you can't stop that person from embarrassing you. Eventually, it's going to happen. Now, they may not do something to necessarily attack you or may not be venomous behavior towards you, but it's going to be you are behaving in a manner that you shouldn't be behaving in the environment or around the people that we're around this
It's that Cardi
moment.
B stuff.
Yeah.
She's hilarious and fun to be around.
Fantastic.
Until she talks about you.
Hilarious.
On
live.
On X. On Twitter.
Yeah.
And says,
She going live and
"Tell
telling
all your
y'all business. And it's like,
You're like,
wait.
It's
This
not funny
ain't funny no more.
Right.
This was cool when you was going
That's
off
what it is.
on Donald Trump. It ain't cool when
You go off on me.
when you going on. Yeah. No.
So,
I do.
that's what
You
that
know
is.
what? I do. I did used to love when Cardi B talked politics though.
Ridiculous.
She was doing that stuff. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like you know, sometimes it's just entertaining. But the point I'm trying to make is you can't stop that person from being that way. So if you go into a black tie event and you got a little name, I won't make up a name because somebody gonna say that's my real name and I'm hood.
Right.
I'm not gonna say you got a little whatever, with you on your arm and she don't know, hey, this black tie affair, you don't need to have sheer dress on your butt cheeks. Oh, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that on this next episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that for
Can I
sure.
just tell you the top comments?
Please. I wasn't cutting the episode off, but we're gonna definitely
okay.
talk
I
about
thought you
this.
were
No,
gonna
no,
cut
no,
it
no,
off.
no. I wasn't doing it, but
All right.
we're
So
gonna talk
he
about that.
says, "Look, I'm going to give you some advice my grandpa gave me. I'm going to give you some advice my grandpa gave me. There are two kinds of people in this world: those who grow and mature, and those who don't. What you have to figure out is whether you want to wait around and see what kind of person they will be." And somebody said, "Grandpa got it."
They did.
She did. So she said, this person said she's 28. As a female, they mature faster than men. I'd say she's pretty baked. If he's not happy with her now, then it's time to get out.
Yeah.
It's sure it sure sounds like he's expressed his concerns more than a few times without any meaningful change.
That's very valid. It's very valid. You cannot expect somebody to change dramatically after a certain age. And as you fall in love with somebody's potential, who you think they could be, and who, because they show you glimpse
Right.
of things that seem fantastic, and you don't realize like this person may not ever become that. You marry a person or date somebody as they are. You don't do that based on what you think they could be,
Right.
because they may never get it.
Right.
And that's the toughest thing that I think a lot of people don't understand. When you're 15, 16, people change.
Yes, of course.
People change. When you get ready to be like, hey, I'm finna graduate college, and you still stupid.
But even then, you are still stupid. My thing is,
Character-wise, you should not still be stupid graduating college. Not your
How old are
character.
you?
22,
24?
23.
yeah, but in your 20s,
You're going to make dumb
foolish.
decisions. You're going to make dumb decisions,
Yeah.
but that should not be your character. At that point in
here's the
time.
point I have in my head.
Go ahead.
Someone's 32 and the other person's 22.
Right.
They shouldn't be in a relationship because there are two different levels of maturity.
Understood.
So that 22-year-old is still a kid in my head. So you're still
Here-
gonna make
Yeah, they're going to make dumb
childlike,
decisions.
silly stuff that you're like, oh, you're 22.
Yeah.
Things that 22-year-olds say, you're like, I gotta
I
give you
agree
grace
with you.
because you're 22. You don't know what the heck you're talking about.
I agree with you.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying you're thinking at 22 after graduating, you're about to graduate college. They're still kids,
Yeah, no, so I agree with you.
and your character's still being built.
So I agree with you from the standpoint that they still going to do dumb stuff, right?
Right.
A good person who is emotionally intelligent.
We'll be by that point. Yes. I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
so if my character is, I don't care what level of relationship I'm in, I'm not cheating on my significant other.
Correct. Doesn't matter what age.
I don't care what. That stuff starts being baked in around it. Like, you kind of know who you are when it comes to.
I think you know real early.
Lying is
doing.
wrong. Like, why am I lying to these?
You know pretty early if you're gonna cheat or not. In my head, like
Yeah,
when you're
like-
15, 16, and you don't even have a relationship, but you know that that's wrong.
You know it's not right.
You're not about to do that.
And that's the thing
When
is
you
people
finally get into the relationship, that's not something you want to do.
right.
So to me, that's inset early.
That's
from-
what I'm talking
from-
about. So
from
people
time.
gonna do some
Yeah.
dumb stuff. Of course, you
Okay,
haven't
yeah.
lived enough to not make smart decisions. You haven't learned.
Yeah.
Hey, this works. This does. I can tolerate this. I can't tolerate that. You haven't
Mm-hmm.
learned stuff like that yet. Because some stuff you're gonna go in hopeful, like yeah,
Oh,
I
and
can
people
change
will-
them.
And people will say, right, I can change
Yeah.
them. I'm falling in love with their potential.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Whatever they say they mean,
Right.
even though their actions don't show. You see grown women in their 30s talking about, yeah, girl.
40s, 50s.
And he's saying something, but where are the actions?
Well, your actions at.
So when it
Yeah.
comes to love and in the matters of the heart, people don't always use. I don't know why logic goes out the window, especially for women. A lot of women, I won't say every woman, but logic often exits the room, and I really don't think that you have to do it in tandem. It has to make sense. Like the guy can be like, "You're the most amazing person, and I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Okay, well, buddy, we just met,
Right.
so let's chill. Even though that's what you want to hear from someone, let's find out why you feel like that, because you don't really know me.
Right.
Let's pump the brakes, because if you do love me, we have the time to actually see what you mean by love, because somebody's definition of love may not mean somebody else's definition of love. So it's like you really gotta discover who that person is and who you are.
Right.
But a year in, you know what this person is about.
To deal with that many shenanigans,
a year in, you know,
it's
and
crazy.
for him to be like, I don't know what to do. You know what to do. You just don't want to do it because it'll be a lot to have to walk away.
You don't want to give up the magical box. That's what it is. Yeah, it's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
This is a classic case of moving in and getting whipped. This is what happened.
Well, he moved in because he had already did it and knows. Okay.
Yeah. This is yeah. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. Find out
who
this
the person is
person
attached to the box.
Find out who this person is, because.
But honestly, not to sound like a cliche Christian,
it is what it is.
because I'm putting my business out there, but
Maybe you shouldn't, but that's up to you.
But I wasn't celibate before. We were celibate with each other, and that was the best decision, I think. I mean, there's no better way to enter a relationship, in my opinion, when you take that off the table and you're talking about getting to know the person outside of that, and how can you create intimacy without sex.
Right.
And seeing the values of the person, because you can always create a moment with sex. You can always fill gaps. No pun intended. Fill gaps.
Gaps we getting filled.
And
you look up at this person
when you don't
I hate this girl. Why am I sitting back here? Lord Jesus, you don't want to just rewind it. Just don't want to do it.
And here's what happens with the female. I just had this discussion at work with one of my employees, and she was talking about relationships and stuff, and I was saying, once you do it with someone, most women are built like this. Not all, obviously, but a lot of women are built like this, where it's like once you get with someone and you do this sexual act with this person,
right,
I'm gonna make it work because I did it with you. So now I'm gonna make this work no matter what, because I did it. So now let's figure out how we can work around these flaws that keep coming up. And I'm like I'll ignore it or put it aside or try to work on it. When if you had seen this stuff before you had sex, it was easier to walk away.
Yep.
Easier to say no. But now that you've done it, you're like, well, I'm in this boat. I gotta row it.
It's the battle to not feel like a harlot.
Correct.
That's really what it is.
That's literally what it is. Like
I've done this, and now I don't want to feel like just I'm a woman of the night. I gave it up.
And the thing is, I'm sure that a lot of girls are like, this is just a sexual thing. I don't care. I don't have any emotions. Emotions get involved, boo. Emotions often do get involved. You're playing yourself if you think that doesn't happen.
Bruh.
Eventually, at some point, if you go on long enough with this person, somebody's going to feel something. And it's usually the girl.
Right.
But if you bring celibacy into the game, and you really... And the problem with a lot of Christians is that, okay, we're celibate, but we really want to do it. So let's get married quickly. Because sex is still the focus.
Right.
But if you put sex to the side for a bit and you say, yes, I'm attracted to you. Yes, that's something I want to do. But I also want to get to know you and to know what you have and what your values are. People don't talk about values enough.
Nope.
People talk about characteristics about a person. He's got to be this, he's got to be that. When women say, I want a man of God, what does that even mean? And what does it look like?
They don't know.
Before I used to be like, man of God, I just want this person to believe in God.
That was enough.
That was enough.
And that was lip service. Jesus?
Do you
believe? That was lip service.
Yeah, my ex was like, yeah, I know Jesus. I pray to Jesus. And I'm like, cool, moving on.
Beginning and the end of it.
He know the name Jesus, okay?
So
you know, I say my prayers.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what we need as a woman. We need the man to be a man of God, to have God speak to him, and then he can say, this is what we're doing, or here's the plan, how you feel about this. Because if there's the man is not talking to God, where is he getting his information from?
Well, Satan. One or the other.
Where's the guidance coming from? And that's where the frustration comes from. And then when you're talking to a man of God, when you're having a conversation with the man of God, I mean, we're not talking about a person who's perfect.
Right.
So people are going to receive things, but eventually you'll come to a point where we're like, okay, this person is really trying to listen to what you're saying, trying to make the relationship work. You might have a fight. You might not be heard in that moment, but eventually this person will come around to wanting to be on the same page and putting both of the relationship where we want this thing to work. Mm-hmm. So let's figure this out. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always, you're not always going to hear what you want to hear. And the thing is, women, we got to say, I was wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're not talking about accountability for women. We're not having that conversation. I was wrong. I'm sorry. But since we having Bible study,
I'm just saying. I
folks,
know it turned into a Bible study.
No. I'm not. We're gonna make go. Let's go down the rabbit hole. One thing that I've talked to some people who were supposed to be women of God. Right. Proverbs 31 in your profile and all that stuff. I ain't never read it. But one thing that you can, this is what I did, is start looking at the characteristics of the Spirit of God. When I say that,
the fruits of the Spirit?
Fruit of the Spirit,
mm-hmm.
Right. And, the thing is, people will say that they are a Christian, or they'll say they are saved or followers of Christ or have a good relationship, and they don't exhibit any of it.
You can't find it.
You're impatient. You're not rude, kind. You're angry. It's just like the level of just selfishness and just nastiness in a lot of people. It starts making you be like, bro, where's your heart at? Mm-hmm. Let me tell you something. This happens with everybody. In some cases, even how you look. You see these old couples be together, and they say the longer they be together, they start looking alike.
Like each other, yeah.
When you are close to somebody, it's even scientifically proven about you're picking up their words, for example.
Yeah.
You start picking up their mannerisms, how they talk, little idiosyncrasies. You all will start doing things, picking up little habits, little ways. I don't know, when did I start saying, you know what I'm saying? Like you start doing stuff because you're around them so much. And that thing is also the way that it should be with God. Mm. Right? So if somebody's consistently around God, consistently reading their Bible, consistently going to church, consistently studying, consistently praying, you're going to see some level of evidence in that person's character to where it's like, dang, I feel like when I'm around this person, there's so much peace.
Right. And that's where like I'm going to have to tell one of the girls that worked out, because she was like, well, what if, I said, there was so many doubts when you met this person, and you just kept doubting and saying something's not right, but he's saying this and it's not feeling, but is that my trauma speaking, or is that me not wanting it to work? And it's like, okay, first of all, if you think that's your trauma speaking, let's get some help. If your trauma is blocking you from seeing something fantastic and great, then maybe you really do need to get some help. But
Right.
if it is that a person of God they should radiate that, not at all times and every minute of the day and every second of every hour of every day.
I know a lot of goofy Christians.
Right.
Like, it's how they, when I say goofy, like, it's a lot of just like, they're still human. They make mistakes. They
Right.
say and do silly stuff.
Right.
A
But
lot
at
of
the
Christian
core-
men that I know, cousins, friends and stuff like that, a lot of them just real silly acting.
Right.
I don't know if you ran into that, but I think it's kind of how they learn how to function inside a society that's kind of looking at them with weird energy because they're trying to fit in areas. But hey, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do this. But I'm funny.
That's if we want to get into the Christian conversation, a lot of the focus of Christians, and that's why people ostracize them a little bit, is the focus of what you can't do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
It's all about what you can't do and
Yep.
judging people for doing the things that you can't do.
Yep.
When you build a fence around a house, if you have a dog that wants to run free, but you don't have a fence, the dog can't run free. Okay, you got to watch the dog and make sure you're running after the dog. But if you build that fence, now the dog can run free within the parameters of that house. The dog is not focusing, what's behind that fence? Don't go behind it. Like, the dog is like, I'm having a good time in this backyard. As soon as you let that dog out, they're going to have the time of their lives in that backyard. That's what Christians should be doing. Have a time in the backyard of where God told you what you can do. What are we focusing on what you can't do for?
What's
I'm
over
judging
there?
Yeah.
You see what's over there?
I'm not supposed to be over there. Don't go over there. Don't go over there. Don't go over there. Well, where can you go? And go there. And have some fun there.
Yeah.
And then when people encounter you, I know we're going on long, but when people encounter you as a Christian, they should know that you're a Christian without talking to you about Christianity.
Some people
and
are
Jesus.
t-shirt wearers
Talking
only.
talking about the fruits of the Spirit, that should be evident without you saying, I'm a Christian, I believe in this, I believe in Jesus. They should meet Jesus, the Jesus in you, without you saying, I believe in Jesus.
Right.
They will know, I grew up in the Catholic Church. I wouldn't consider myself Catholic at this point. I would consider myself Christian. But I still have a lot of the songs that we sang, and one of them was they'll know we're Christians by our love and by our faith. And the main one was they'll know we're Christians. That's how you should, when you encounter people, they should be feeling that your kindness and your authenticity, and that you genuinely want good things for them.
Right.
And treating them with respect.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you meet Christians, you're like, ooh.
That's turning a lot of people away too.
Church, that's where the church hurt comes.
Yep.
And it's justifiable. I understand. First of all, it's a lot of manipulation. The guilt, and we got to do better.
Well, it starts at home though.
Yeah.
And as this thing is about, like, when you start, people just gotta try their best to be a better person.
And
that's just all to it.
It's also your interpretation of God. If you look at God as this crazy kind of, not crazy, but like scary.
Sinners in the hand of an angry God.
Yeah, like this very angry,
I was reading something one time.
Scary kind of thing. Like, you're gonna.
People look at God in three different ways. It was like there was the angry one, like looking at God like he's just a big kid in the sky with a magnifying glass trying to burn ants type vibes. There was I think they call it the watch clock God, where they were just kind of like, people have that perception of God where he built the watch, he wind it up, and then he's just letting it go.
Right, so it's like,
it's kind of like I created it and walked away, and now it's just doing its thing. And then there's, of course, the loving, I'm caring thing on a day-to-day basis, walking with Father type. I forgot where that came from. It's just been probably 25 plus years since I read wherever that came from. But anyway, people gotta fix their relationship
But that's why,
with God, within themselves,
and their fathers and mothers.
their parents, and then after that, start trying to connect with other people. Just to bring this back to the topic, this sounds like he's talking about abandonment issues. You don't need to be dating.
No, she needs healing.
You don't need to be dating.
And now he needs healing too. If he didn't need it before, I think we all need healing to a certain point. I think life is a journey of healing, and to the point of just consistently healing things. Not in a way that's, something's wrong with you, but like, how can this, in a curious way, how can this be better?
Right.
But I think now that he's gone through this, and he's second guessing himself, and this is trauma for him too, that he needs healing too. But she really, really needs it. Really badly.
Hopefully,
unless it's a thought out thing that she's trying to mess with him, which is also.
Let me tell you something, man. Sometimes, and I don't know anything about this man, but there are people who seek out people to destroy.
Yeah.
And they actively seek out people to destroy, and it's like game to them. I've seen people do this where it's kind of like,
people like this.
I'm gonna mess you up, and it's because they're messed up, and it's like, yo, this is not a good situation. They laugh about it and they think it's cool and stuff like that, and I'm like, bro, why are you doing this to this person? This is wild.
They want to see the reaction that they. As long as I can create ripples in the water and I can see that stuff is happening, I feel like I have an effect on the world.
Bruh.
And if it's negative, I feel even more powerful. That's the viewpoint of that person, I would imagine.
Hurt people.
Yep.
That's what they say. And there's only so much that you can do for an individual. But my advice, since this whole thing has been about advice, is get out. Get out while you still can. Don't go into a situation needing counseling to fix the situation to be good enough to marry.
Right.
You are marrying that person as they are. If you cannot marry that person as they are and be 100% content with who they are as a person,
if they never change,
you need to go. Because people change a little bit. Sometimes it takes
people change over time.
It takes a while, or something dramatic can happen and shift people a little bit. When you talking about turning the Titanic completely around, you can't get somebody like that. Literally takes God to step in. And if there's somebody who like, I'm never gonna believe, then you can't sit back here. I'm gonna make them do right. I'm gonna make you in for a long journey. I can't say it's impossible, because stranger things have happened. But
the work that it takes, and you also end up losing yourself trying to fix
absolutely
somebody else. And it's not worth it. It's just not.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, the odds of it happening are so low. It doesn't make sense to get into that.
Could have had you a whole marriage and 3, 4, 5, 18 kids by now, dealing with somebody who actually loves you. You sitting back here playing with somebody talking about got you in.
That's the part. And the thing about it is that a lot of times women
we need
do
to
it
go
mostly.
To couple
Men
counseling.
probably do it. Men probably do it too, but it's the sunken cost fallacy.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
we've been here so long.
So much time. She's met my family. Yeah. And he's met my family.
I'm sorry, we just gonna have to be embarrassed. What happened to your girl? We not together no more. I'm just gonna have to be embarrassed at the next family reunion. What happened in your situation?
Once people like, well, I already introduced him. I already told my friends about him. Now I gotta go back. Yes.
Bruh, I did that. I had that situation.
That's what dating is, guys.
With somebody.
Dating is to see if this person is compatible with you.
Next family event, I wasn't with that person. After introducing them, it is. Yeah, she had to go away. Those are my words.
First of all.
Come on,
and
man.
then we're going to wrap it up because I know it's getting long. I would go to the family events. When you going to get a boyfriend? You so pretty. Why you don't have a boyfriend? Where's your boyfriend? You need a boyfriend.
Right.
Boyfriend.
Then you get one.
Then you get a boyfriend. Oh, you got a boyfriend.
When you gonna get married?
When are you guys gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? When you get married? When you get married? When are you guys gonna have a kid?
Right.
When are you gonna have a kid? When are you gonna have a second kid?
Right.
Listen, let me
never
enjoy
ending.
the phase that I'm in.
It's never
because
ending.
I realize with these family events is that they're just talking.
Yeah.
You don't have to take any of that on. You live your life. Enjoy the phase that you're in, whether it's single, whether it's kids, 2 kids, no prospects. Enjoy the phase that you're in. Because this too shall pass. Eventually things will change and you'll move on to another phase. Make the most of the phase that you're in. Relax. Everything will be fine. You pray, you relax, you enjoy the phase that you're in. Look for the wins, enjoy those wins, ride the wave because life is like this. It's not always going to be whatever you think it is, whatever it is right now. It's not always going to be like that.
Bro.
So
it
if it's a
will
good
be if you
time-
marry this girl, it's gonna always be like that.
But if it's a good time, ride the wave of the good time. Really get highs. Get to that, enjoy the highs. That way that when it's a low time, you can go back into your memory bank.
Speaking of this too shall pass, this episode has now passed. Definitely, as advice, first thing, folks, don't move in. Don't move in. Especially not after a year. If you got somebody feeling like, this person got you feeling like you crazy, you might just want to leave that alone. Because that person has effectively destroyed that man's peace. And that's not okay. Last and most certainly not least, thank you. Thank you for spending another period of time with us on this journey. Please like, comment, share, subscribe.
Be a part of the unks in the building community. We always have to
CS. All right. Take it easy.
Bye.